All right. Well, welcome to all you who have decided to be intrigued by this podcast. You don't know who we are, but we're going to introduce you to each other in a minute. But thank you. And just like every good podcast, we say subscribe and hopefully we will inspire you. And if it made anything meaningful to you, please pass it on because we want to help people. We want to bring light to the world. And the only way that we'll be successful is if you pass it on. So, welcome to Embracing Your Diamond. I want to introduce Rabbi Ben Weinberg. He will introduce himself in a minute. Let me introduce myself first. Now, I'm going to give you just a heads up. I don't like introducing myself. So I sent a friend of mine to write a bio. This is his words, and I'll let it be as it is. So, the bio for myself, Gavriel Tabor. Gavi Tabor is a life coach who start again. Gavri Tabor is a life coach who specializes in helping people reach their potential. His methods are rooted in the axiom that life is messy and the best time to start is now. Gavri focuses on helping people discover their inner talents, confront things that are holding them back, and enter a process of growth. He has an extensive experience in youth counseling, team building, and one-to-one counseling. Gavi is also the founder of Tabor, which I'll explain about in a second, which is a motivational Facebook page that connects a large community of like-minded individuals. Finally, Gavi is a husband, father of three, and a lifelong learner. Speaking personally, conversations with Gavi is inspirational, heartwarming, and challenging perspectives. He is a natural motivator and a coach. A summary, I'm a good guy who wants to help other people. And you're a warm hug. And saying that, I only associate with good, positive people that I believe can bring out the best in myself. I would love to introduce, it's my honor, a good dear friend known on this podcast as Rabbi Ben. But to me, he is Ben. But I want him to introduce himself. That's the best way of getting it from the person himself.
Thank you so much, Gavi. I'm a board certified chaplain. Perhaps you can say I'm a death coach. I am a chaplain living in Oak Park, Michigan. I have three beautiful children. And Gavi and I are here because we want to help people. We're two regular guys, very unassuming. As you can see, this is very organic. We want to share love, spread love in a very organic and validating way. And as you can see, he and I are both joining you from our virtual office location somewhere between Hawaii or the Caribbean. And that's who we want you to be mentally right now. So, Gavi, thank you so much. I'll let you continue, but looking forward to being on this journey with you and all our listeners.
Beautiful. It's funny you say I'm a life coach and you're a deaf coach. There's a famous book, I think, by Moody about out of body experiences. He wrote the
Yeah,
first
yeah.
life after death.
Life
So
after life. Yeah,
that's why we are going to be so successful in is we believe you may be dead, but you can still be alive.
that's right. We'll call each other the bookend. You're at the beginning and I'll hold the end, and we'll have everybody have some stuff to say about the middle.
So this basically the podcast is basically an overview of who we are, what we want to do, and what the projection of what we want to be successful. Well, it will be successful. We want to be more successful. We want to inspire, like I said. So what I do, my name of my company is Yellow Road Thinking. And the reason why, just to give you an insight behind the name, is yellow is first of all my favorite color, but also yellow is positivity. Road, I believe that everyone has a road. Everyone has a direction. We'll talk about it more on these podcasts. You have something to give. That's your direct road to achieving your greatness. And thinking, it all comes down to thought patterns. It's about how you think, what you want to do with your life, what it is. So just an overview of just start off because as you rightly said, my dear friend, this is an organic podcast as life is messy. I want a good podcast and you and I are here to bounce off each other, and hopefully as we grow we'll bring in more people, educators. This will be a not a straight line. This will be mistakes and conversations and go off on tangents, and we may bring concepts that are in the world just to bring down to reality. But just to standing on one foot, what I envisioned, and I thank you for helping me make this vision a reality, is that through my work with people, first of all, I find the number one, people don't appreciate who they are. And once you don't appreciate who you are, you're less likely to be successful. So that's why I kind of said embrace the diamond. And like every good foundation, we went backwards and forward. We spoke to people. And originally I wanted to call this polishing the diamond. That is for another story, how I got to that concept, but it's a story about, well, I'll tell you about it. It comes from a story from the well-renowned psychiatrist, Rabbi J. Tversky. He died a few years ago, I think. Is that right, Ben?
Abraham J. Tversky.
Abraham,
Yeah.
that's it. His brothers did.
Yeah.
So he was a prolific speaker and author. And in one of his very first books, he writes about his experience of starting off in the psychiatry world. And he had a one-dimensional view. And if you didn't fit into it, you're okay, we'll just help you go through, until he met a criminal that came to his practice. Yeah. And he kind of said to the guy, I look at people as diamonds. And the guy looked at him, what do you mean? He said that a diamond is basically rough, right? And how you can, how you look at yourself, you can either be a diamond or a piece of glass. What's a glass? Glass is just one dimensional. Or if you believe you're a diamond, you can polish and you will shine through a different, as the light goes through the prism, it sparkles. It doesn't get destroyed. It's incredible. So that resonated with me, and that was like, that's who we have. And religiously, we have a soul, which is, if you don't want to go religious concepts, that you still have an entity in this world that you're here for a reason, right? Again, that could be discussed as the organic goes, but everyone has something to do, and the greatness is what you are unique as an individual. You may have traumas and challenges and dysfunctionality, right? But beneath all that, there is an essence that the world is waiting for. So through my travels and talking to people, the number one thing I found is that people don't believe in themselves. So I had this idea, podcast, for a long time. And then as this became more of a reality, I reflected on the people I met and why I wanted to do this, or why I want to be a life coach, and how I love people. And then I came to the realization is that you can only polish your diamond if you believe you have a diamond. So that's where embracing the diamond came from. So to start off, this is going to be organic conversation, but to start off, I have like a 7 podcast thing, right? And just to give you a teaser, and we'll start a little bit maybe today, carry on, is the first one, Diamonds Are Coals Under Pressure, which basically it's a podcast about awesome potential that exists in each one of us. And we'll discuss it. Second one I want to do is called Digging for Diamonds, right? Helping people ask themselves the hard questions, as I originally wanted to keep my practice the white elephant. But I was convinced by those who love me and don't think the same, out of the box. But
it's not politically correct.
But when someone's drowning, you don't have to be politically correct.
100%.
Third one is discovering your diamond. Once you realize you have a diamond, then we're going to try and find your inner diamond, discovering your passions and your purpose and building your confidence, right? And then the fourth one is the facets of the diamond. As I alluded to, a diamond has 4: purpose, family, self, spirituality. And I want to do a podcast on how to connect all those parts together, right? Fifthly, polishing your diamond, right? Daily, weekly, monthly habits of affirmation that help you succeed and keep your diamond polished and shining. And that's what we all want, right? We'll talk about what stops a person from doing that. And then 6, securing the setting of your diamond. How to be the friend, the father, the mother, the husband to the people around you. They are your settings around your diamond. And then 7, once you've achieved that, I've somewhat achieved that, and so have you in your different ways. Be a gem merchant, right? Help other people. because reality, let's be honest, the world needs so much light. The world has so much potential for light. Most conflicts can be shattered if you just looked at each other in the eye and just said, is this a good conflict? Is not, what are we achieving? And I think we all can do that. This is our part, Ben and me, bringing people the reality. They're amazing.
100%.
So that's my outline. And I hope that this intrigues you enough to want to tune in more. And I am not the techno savvy part in this. You are. So you will have drop a comment down, the like it, the share it. My friend Ben is going to take care of that. But if you are inspired or you want to ask a question, don't be afraid. Because reality, if you do feel that way, that means you feel the sparkle of your diamond saying, hey, that's so true. I want to be better.
People have to know that in this world, there will never be a person like you ever again. You are unique. Every diamond is unique. When you really examine it, you see all its intricacies and beauty.
Totally.
And these 7 different topics that we're going to go into about the sides of a diamond, the worth of a diamond, is really going to speak to people. And I'm here to do some technical stuff, but I want to learn from you also.
I want to learn from you. And that's why when we had discussion behind the scenes, all right, this is, behind the scenes exclusive, is that I may be different than you, but you still got something to give. So don't hold back for my sake. This is, even if no one listens to it, this is a friendship that can grow together. We've known each other, what, over 10 years? It can
10
only
years
get better and
plus.
better. So even after 10
That's
years,
right.
we can
That's
still
right.
inspire each other. We can still tell each other stories. I think our friendship is enough to say, hey, Gavi, let me just on you. So don't be afraid, my dear friend. You are part of the family. You're part of this now. You are a co-host, right? So, hey, don't be afraid to get out your beach chair and throw a coconut at me.
Very good. I want to share one more story. Rabbi Twersky has shared this in one of his books. His brother, who's my Rabbi still to this day in Milwaukee, told this story to me. And that's the story about the poor gentleman visiting a foreign country. He has a dream that in this foreign country is a buried treasure. And he's so captivated by it. He believes in it so much that he travels there and he goes looking for it. Well, as his luck will have it, he gets stopped by a guard. Schmendrick, what are you doing?
Explain Schmendrick, because hopefully
Schmendrick means
we
like, yeah,
want the
like
masses.
a, say it again. Oh, to the masses. Schmendrick, hey, silly person, stupid person. What are you doing? He says, you're never gonna believe this. He says, I had a dream that right where we're standing under the road here is where there's a buried treasure. And the guy kind of laughs it off, the guard, I should say. And the guy starts digging from morning until night. The guard comes back and he says, oh, you're still here. He says, the treasure's here. And the guard says, that's just as silly as me dreaming that back in your home under your floorboards is a treasure. He goes back to his house. He pulls back the floorboards and there is a buried treasure. When I was told this story, he said to me, do you have any idea what I'm trying to tell you? And I said, I have absolutely no clue. He says, our job is to show people that the treasure has been inside them the entire time, that every person that listens to this podcast has a treasure under their floorboards. And sometimes they just need some encouragement to find their diamonds, to pull back those floorboards. It's painful to pull back those floorboards. Sometimes you have to smash them. Sometimes you pull them back slowly. It doesn't matter how fast. That's part of the journey. But our goal in doing this is to help you find the treasure.
Totally.
And that's just something I wanted to add.
So again, you have to pull from your own experiences, and I know through my own therapy, dealing with people, that sometimes just a story makes so much of an impression. So keep bringing those stories. I tell my clients all the time is that reality is, deep down the answers. You may not know how to get there. Are you willing to embrace it? The greater the challenge, the greater reward. right? And this is one of the downside to the 21st century is that people don't want to wait anymore, and now, is it right or wrong? No, it's not. You're just being conditionalized. So this is such I feel this is such an important. I'm not trying to flog my own, business because reality, yes, but at the same time, this is such an important human quality that if we all would realize that, hey, like you said, deep inside us, there's something to give. And if you really embrace that, then when you meet someone else and you have that same concept, you look at them completely different. I'm not saying you have to agree with them. I'm not saying you have to love them, but it's amazing the concept of if you believe that I'm great and you really internalize it, you meet someone, right? And you have the same epiphany that he's in the same, well, it's amazing how your perspective changes, right? And then you realize that once you get over that fluff, we all have traumas, we all have challenges, we've all been educated through a certain way. Some are good, some are bad, some indoctrinated. But if you strip, as I tell my clients, I want you to be a bad paint job. And what do you mean a bad paint job? I said a bad paint job is two things. Is truth is a bad paint job because it will seep through, right? And if you're real, it'll seep through. They kind of look at us as a paradox is that when you build your house, you want it to don't have a bad paint job, but here you want it to come through. Like diamond doesn't just mean yourself; it also reflects the way you deal with people, how you walk into someone's home, which you have done millions of times, and sometimes you walk in, you feel so warm, and you don't know what it is, right? But you feel comfortable, and you can go to some people's house and you suddenly feel, oh, I can't explain it, but you just don't. Or you meet someone and you're like, wow, what is it? It's an essence that gives off, right? And the more warmth you want to understand what makes them tick, right? The people who've inspired you are the people you're most curious about. Like to be a therapist, you got to be curious. You have to be able to ask the question just enough that you're curious to see where it's going to go because you're leading them down where they really want to go, right? So you got to be curious. I saw a lot of people who are going, yeah, a lot of rubbish. Who am I? I'm nothing. I'm such a loser, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So I tell people, you believe you got something else to give. Because if you didn't believe it, you're like, okay, whatever, wouldn't even bother you. And there are so many people nowadays, I see that as you get in the business of people, right, you can sense when someone's words will be put differently as the very first time they go in, right? You become more aware, more sensitive, more empathetic, you're more real, more serious. And that's the same thing with therapy, chaplaincy, being real about yourself. This is going to knock on to marriages, relationships, business, communities, whatever you want to do. You're walking down the street and you pick up a piece of garbage, right? So, what are you doing? You're basically saying, where I am, I respect it, so I pick it up, right? Now, two things can happen. That shows that you take respect and or you never know, will someone else look at you and go, wow, he's picking up the piece of garbage. And wow, if that's the case, it's like a knock-on effect. I could go on and on, which I normally do. Right? This is a downside to me because sometimes I feel that I want to give over so much more than the person wants to hear. Through my own experiences, challenges, disappointments, and pain, right? It's very painful. You don't want other people to go down that. Sometimes you want to pick up people and just shake them, but you can't.
Right, for sure.
But I've seen both sides, So reality is that that's what I, with you, would want to achieve. And listen, if it inspires one person, then you know what? It's been worth it. I want to hit number one. I want people to know the yellow road thinking and your chaplaincy, which at the end of the podcast will tell you how to get in touch with us. I'm not doing this for the financial reward. I'm doing it because I believe that everyone is amazing and the world is crying out for Ben and for Gavi and for the Johns and for the Sarahs and for everyone under domination of this world. Young, old, man, female, whatever religion you believe in, right? Whatever color your skin is, it means nothing because reality is that you could tip the balance. A simple thing I tell people, when's the last time you said good morning to your neighbor? And again, most of my clients think I'm crazy when I do, like concepts like that. What do you mean, say good morning? He may be having a terrible morning. You say good morning to him. You've just given him a bit of a validation. It changes life. change his day. Instead of shouting at his wife of his co-workers, he walks in and goes, oh, okay. So you now made his secretary not have a bad day, right? You never know. At the same time, you're just being human. Hey, good morning. How are you? How you doing? I've got loads of stories to tell you. There's stories about like the guy walks on the beach and the starfish. I'm sure you've heard that before. I use this all the time, so you'll hear it a lot. I have a story about a guy who's a valet. He was the valedictorian of his school, right? And he gets up there and he says, reality, this is the wrong person, should be up here, should be my friend Joe, right? And he basically tells a story of he was going to kill himself and cleans up his locker. And as he came out of the school, he tripped and all his books fell on the floor. And this guy, Joe, picked him up and he never met before. And they walked together and they started a friendship. And he said, oh, if someone talked to me, then okay, I'll give one more day. And as this friendship grew, it grew and he came into something else. And he turns around and said, Joe, this is all you because I was going to kill myself, right? These are the small things. And these are the questions, for example, why don't people know that they have a diamond buried inside them? This is something we want to talk about next week. What is the first step in realizing that you have an inner diamond? Growth scares people. How do you get them to choose growth? Right? It's another provocative question that we'll talk about next week. What is the biggest or another struggle that you see people have in personal growth? These are the questions I want to present. I want you to give an answer. A good speaker makes people squirm, right? And that's, in a way, I want to do that. I want people to be, I want to rattle their consciousness that you are better than you think you can be, and you have something to give that no one else can give. I want that to ruminate within your soul, within your heart. Really? I have something to give? What is it? I remember coming on your podcast, just to give a kudos to yours. You do a great podcast on your own. What's it called?
Be Holy.
Be Holy. And you'll give your information after this. I remember talking when I came to you and I said the story about the person saying thank you to the bed. And I'm not going to give now because it's such a great story that I want to tease you again to come back to listen to that story. But it's the same thing. Saying thank you can trigger within a person the greatness that you have, the greatness someone else can have.
And you and I have a plethora of stories to share that have so many life lessons. The idea of a diamond, of a treasure. All of us have a treasure chest of our diamonds and our jewels, and those jewels are our stories, our existence, the things that we've gone through. I want people to write to us.
There you go.
And we'll talk about it on the podcast. Write to us about the things that you're going through. Not because we're experts, but because we care. We're two people that want to give voice to the things that you're going to validate you, to give you some light, to let that diamond sparkle.
This is the organic thing I've talked about. We have an idea, but we want it to be so organic that two people talking, it triggers someone else to write in. How do I, and again, that's life, just two people talking. To piggyback on what you said, the diamond doesn't mean it can be a hug. Give someone a warm hug, a good handshake, a smile. You open the door for them, give them validation. I am the CEO. The power was something I set up. It means the affirmation through the power of words. The reason I set it up, you can sign up, go on Facebook, the Tappow, TAPPOW. Every day I send through my backroom staff, similar to you, David. I've given him all the information, and every day he puts one motivational quote. And the reason I did it is because I met people that just want to be validated. If I said to you, good morning, Ben, how are you? You look great today. And if you don't feel it, it has such a tremendous effect that you don't even know. Just through talking to people, I realized that saying hello and giving someone a positive affirmation, right? It's so powerful. It's an invisible magic cape, right? It can carry you. Like, I don't know who says it. To survive a day, you need like 10 hugs, right? Hey, no, not everyone likes the hug. Again, I get it, and especially in this day and age where everyone is just so, if someone just came up to you and gave a valid hug with no intention other than the world will be definitely a better place,
100%.
So
100%.
Yeah, so I'm excited.
I'm excited too.
I'm excited. The first of all, I'm excited because this is the concept of having a dream and making it a reality. That's number one. Number two, you're here because you know what? Without you, this would not become as successful as it could be. Two is better than one.
Very kind.
I believe that positivity affects other people. If I can change one person's life, amazing. I want to break down barriers. Look at people as essential. The last few years, I've been helping set up a camp because I've worked in summer camps before I became a professional therapist, life coach. I loved it. I'm a kid at heart. I love just being a kid and going out there and
You're a professional
camper. The camp eventually sold. That's why I am not doing that. But anyway, so because of my knowledge in that field, this guy contacted me. It was a challenge, don't get me wrong, but the first year I had a motto that I told all the staff, and it went like this: if God created you, then you're good enough for me. The only difference is he has more patience than I do. All right? And I live by that. I make mistakes, and that's okay. For the most part, I love people. I'll give a kudos out to my dad. My dad told us that you love the sinner and you hate the sin. So, yeah, I'm excited. I'm thankful for many different things. I'm thankful that my wife allows me to hide out and do this. I'm thankful for your friendship. I'm thankful for the incredible technological advancements that we can have a podcast with the pretend beach behind us and hopefully inspire other people. And I'm thankful that my life experiences that I believe that I'm going to bring the ultimate thanks to God that He's given me through challenges, that I came to the realization that I can use my life experiences, good, bad, and ugly, to help other people. Success to me is if we can inspire someone, like in 10 years down the line, they have an opportunity to do X, Y, and something that you said triggers them to not do it, then that to me is success. But even greater is I don't need to know that success.
How can people get in touch with us?
So you give your blurb out and I'll give my blurb out. The best way is just to meet me in the street. So when we look for my information,
Well, I'll do my blurb. So, friends, I'm a chaplain by day, podcaster, and writer by night, etc. You can get in touch with me or learn more about me at Rabbi Ben Vineburg, Vineburg.com. Listen to my weekly podcast, Be Holy, WHOLLY, where we talk about different spiritual issues. And of course, this podcast.
As we progress, I have a logo coming, and you have all wonderful technological 21st century bells and whistles. So it makes you a cup of coffee at the same time that you have to purchase.
That's right.
How to meet me. My website is Yellow Road Thinking, or yellowroadthinking@gmail.com. You can join the Tapal Revolution. Go on Facebook, TAPPOW. Just subscribe, and one of us will like you, and hopefully you'll be inspired. And how else? This podcast is going to be the number one. I don't care what you say. This is going to be shining as brighter than the beach behind us.
Embracing your diamond. We have changed it so many times we forget
what we're doing.
That's right.
Inspiring people, hopefully, as well as ourselves. Embracing your diamond. Coming to podcasts, YouTube.
And we're going to put it on YouTube through the Yellow Road Thinking Facebook, so YouTube channel. We're going to have a podcast Facebook group or page.
And then hopefully as this grows, we will
do weekends, conventions, cruises, spa days. We'll see what we can do. The sky is the limit. Until then, I'm going to get a kiddie pool, put some sand in it for next week, and hopefully a mojito, and this will become even more real.
There you go. Welcome aboard. Hopefully you will hear it through the inner cosmos spiritual healing. Thank you again, Rabbi. We'll talk to you next week. God bless you.